Today on the channel is a return to the Kyle Peterson Top 5, and today we're counting down my top 5 NECA Universal Monster figures of all time.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5, a Thursday tradition here on this very YouTube channel where we count down my top 5 and occasionally top 10 favorites of something. And today we're getting off the wrestling theme. We're headed to the Halloween theme as it is the month of October. We're going to do some Halloween related top 5s for the month of October here on the channel. And today we're counting down my top 5 Universal NECA monsters. So NECA Universal monsters with a little asterisk. This will be the color versions. Maybe we'll do black and white down the road. But for right now, we're going to do the color Universal monsters from NECA top 5 list. Of course, we're going to do this list like we do all the other lists on the channel. We're going to start at number 5, work our way to number 1. Number 1 being my favorite of all time. Of course, this is my list. Put your list in the comments down below. And I've liked Universal monsters ever since I was a little kid. I want to say it was kindergarten. Yes, kindergarten, way back when. The Crestwood House monster books. They had like a nice orange cover to them. That's where I really got into the Universal monsters. Of course, my dad, we've seen him on the channel. He used to unbox all the Universal monster figures with me. He was a big fan as well. So he had his Aurora model kits from when he was a little boy around our house. So I was always intrigued by those. Then seeing the books, and then of course watching the movies. I was all in as a little kid on the Universal Monsters, all in on the Universal Monsters right now. A very fun line from NECA. NECA really knocking it out of the park the last couple years with this line. It has seemingly slowed down a little bit, but there is glimmers of hope. They did just recently announce the Invisible Man Part 2 coming to the line. So hopefully we get some more characters, some more figures. The Hunchback would be a good one, of course. There's a lot that we can still get. I think there's some meat on the bone. However, the heavy hitters have been done by NECA, and that's what we're going to look at in this countdown here today. But I love a Universal Monster. This will be a fun countdown, and of course, get your list in the comments below. And I guess I should speak to it. For the month of October, we're doing a nice giveaway here. Patreon members, check out the link in the description down below. October's giveaway will be the Mummy and Frankenstein from this very line right here. So 2 figures being a giveaway in the Patreon, link in the description down below, in honor of October, in honor of it being Halloween. So without further ado, we're going to kick the countdown off at number 5. All right, we begin the countdown at number 5, and number 5 was extremely difficult for me. We're going to have an honorable mention with this one here. As I kept going back and forth, you asked me in a couple of days, maybe it will change. We're going to number 5 here today. Who is number 5? Well, it is the Phantom of the Opera, one of the more recent releases from the Universal Monster line. Of course, all these ones, different heads, different hands, accessories, capes, hats, all kinds of stuff, bells and whistles throughout the Universal Monster NECA line. But the Phantom of the Opera coming in at number 5 for me, and I'll say, out of all the Universal Monsters, he's really down low on my list. I gotta admit that. However, seeing this figure, absolutely breathtaking, absolutely amazing figure with this one. They got the head sculpts on point, an amazing, amazing looking figure. Now, he might not be my favorite, may not be even near the top of my favorite, but as far as toys do go, coming in very hot here at number 5, a very good figure. And as I did mention, I did have an honorable mention. That's going to be the Bride of Frankenstein. I kept going back and forth. This one really won me over with the beautiful head scans here. Obviously, it's the Bride of Frankenstein. You got to have her for your Frankenstein setup, no doubt about it. But just nearly missing the top 5 here. And like I said, wait a few days, it could change. But officially, number 5 for me is the Phantom of the Opera. Next up in the countdown, we're at the number 4 spot. At number 4, one of the biggest, one of the baddest of the Universal monsters, of course. It is the Frankenstein's monster. Don't call him Frankenstein. People get a little bit offended by that, we've heard over the years. But Frankenstein's monster, technically, we know who it is, though. But it is Frankenstein, large and in charge, the biggest Universal monster, and honestly, one of the best movies, I think, of the bunch as well. Really like this figure, and that really tells you, this one coming in at number 4, tells you how strong the Universal Monster NECA figures really are as a brand. Another fabulous, fabulous figure. We also got a black and white version of this. We also got another Frankenstein that I'm still waiting for from NECA with his chair. I don't know if it's because I ordered that with the Donatello Lab is why I don't have it yet. For whatever reason, coming sooner rather than later, hopefully here. But a fun Frankenstein. There's no question who this one is when you see it. Has all the stuff you would think of, the different hands, the different heads, which are so important to these Universal Monster figures. Just a fabulous, fabulous take, fabulous rendition here from NECA. That's why Frankenstein's monster comes in at number 4. We've reached the halfway point of the countdown. You got your list together. Put it in the comments down below. And of course, put them in order. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, as every single Thursday, we got a top 5 and occasionally top 10 countdown. And we got a few more Halloween ones left to do this month for the old spooky season. But here we are at number 3 and one of my all-time favorites. You know me, I'm a sucker for a hairy bipedal creature on the movies, on TV, in action figure form, even in person if I do come across one. An old whiny Larry Talbot, as my dad would say on the channel, coming in at number 3 as the Wolfman. Everybody loves a werewolf unless you don't. This one high on the list. Once again, it's a thin line between all of these, outside of, I would say, number 5. But 1 through 4, a very thin line. Absolutely love the Wolfman. So iconic, so cool. Love a good werewolf movie. Love, of course, Larry Talbot, Lon Chaney Jr., as we know. Just absolutely beautiful figure. And I love that it's a 2-in-1. That one makes this one feel so much more special. Knew I had to buy 2 of these to display both looks for him. Just absolutely fabulous figure. It is the Wolfman. This is exactly what you think of. If you close your eyes and think of it, that is what we got in action figure form right here. And then to get his human version, absolutely a chef's kiss. That's why the Wolfman comes in at number 3. Dangerously close to the top spot. We're at the number 2 selection in my top 5 Universal Monster NECA countdown. And number 2, gun to my head, is my favorite Universal Monster. He's my favorite of all time as far as movies go. Number 2, as far as figures go, what are we talking about? We're talking about a cryptid is what we are, and that's one of the reasons I like him so much. It is the creature from the Black Lagoon. Obviously part of the Universal Monsters, but a little different tale with him. You know, you got a wolf man that was bit, and he turns into that kind of thing. Frankenstein, he was built. You got the Phantom of the Opera, I guess, living at the opera. The Bride of Frankenstein built once again. Of course, Dracula, he's a vampire. But the creature, a little bit misunderstood, and really a guy or a gillman that really just wants to be left alone. He was an animal of his species. He's going to do his thing out in the old lagoon. Everybody loves a good lagoon, except humans got involved and upset the apple cart with him, and you reap what you sow a little bit here. So I don't feel like he is a monster. He's a monster, but not a monster in the traditional sense. It's just a different kind of story, which made him very cool for me back in the day, reading the book, of course, watching the movies, collecting the action figures, just something about this. And like I said, I love cryptids. I love cryptozoology kind of things. So this is kind of in that wheelhouse. Really, really like that. And then the figure, absolutely amazing here with the scales, the different heads, the movable jaws, the big fish face, the catcher's mitt hands. Just a beautiful depiction here by NECA. An absolute must-have in your collection is this creature from the Black Lagoon. And that's why he comes in at number 2, which means there can only be one. Somebody call Vegas. Get the odds in. What's the number 1? Stay tuned. All right, we put a nail in the coffin with the number 1 NECA Universal Monster Color Edition here in this top 5. And originally, I loved this figure. I still love this figure. Obviously, I do. It's at number 1. I gotta say, though, this one has grown on me. And it was great out the gate, but man, oh man, is this one good. Basically a perfect head scan on this one. I have no faults with any of them. Just very menacing, very, very dark, but very, very cool, and that's why it's at number 1. Who are we talking about? We're talking about Dracula. We're talking about the vampire. We're talking about Bela Lugosi. Now, Bela Lugosi, when I close my eyes, I think of a vampire. I think of Dracula. This is the first thing that comes to my mind. Now, we just had a recent discussion on the channel, of course, the Hammer films with Christopher Lee, and we just unboxed this Christopher Lee a couple days ago. Check out this review if you missed it. Always interesting to me where your fandoms are, where you came from. Of course, we talked about it in that video. If you're from Europe, usually, you're Christopher Lee guy. But if you're over from America and other parts of the world too, it is, of course, Bela Lugosi. I think there's room for both. They both defined a character and a generation along the way. But man, oh man, this Bela Lugosi one just gives you everything you could want. Between all the multiple head scans like the other NECA ones, to the hands that are really, he's putting a curse on you. He's putting a spell on you. He's hypnotizing you. Beautiful hands there. And, of course, the accessories. And one step further, we got a coffin with him. You could buy extra. Obviously, we got that with Frankenstein. We got some accessories with his table. We got the mummy's tomb. But to really build out this Dracula is a pretty cool thing. But man, oh man, soft goods cape like a young Billy D. Williams. Beautiful head scans, as I mentioned. It is Dracula to a T, and I feel it is the best rendition of all these great figures. It is the one, for me, that looks the most like, feels just lifelike. It really feels like they shrunk him down right here. Just a fabulous, fabulous figure. If you don't have it, I can't recommend it more than that. Bela Lugosi's Dracula comes in at number 1 in my top 5 countdown. So there it is, my top 5 Universal Monster figures of all time from NECA, color version. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Make sure you put them in order. That's the hard part. That is the fun part. Like this video. Subscribe to this channel and my other YouTube channel. Videos every single day, as you guys know by now. Check out the Patreon link in the description down below. And you guys know, Patreon member, we got a giveaway. We talked about it at the beginning. We got 2 Universal Monster figures we're giving away to 1 lucky winner this month. Make sure you check that out. Sir Paul64 is where you're going to find me on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, and on Instagram. So, for a little NECA Universal Monsters, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.